Hey, this is Mike from Fancyfoam Models. We're going to do a quick little video on how to use Foam-Tac glue. This is a foam-safe glue, so you can use it on both EPP foam, which is our durable foam, and also Depron foam, which is a little more rigid. The foam itself is a contact cement. You can use it like a normal glue and just apply it to one side, stick the parts together, but it's going to take quite a bit of time for that to cure out. A better way to do it is to apply glue to one of the surfaces, bring it to the surface that you're going to glue it to, push them together, and then you want to move the surfaces around a little bit to smear the glue on both surfaces so that it's coated very well. You can use your finger, you can use a popsicle stick, anything like that to apply it to both sides. And then you want to let it sit a little bit. Again, like I said, it's a contact adhesive. And so as it dries, it'll start to stick. Now, after a few seconds, I can put it together and pull it apart like you saw me do, but the longer I wait, the better it sticks. Typically, when I want to just butt two pieces together, what I'll do is lay them flat on a table so that they're nice and even. And as I press those together, they stick real nice. And this is really starting to get stuck well. As I pull this apart, there's little strings of glue where it's trying to keep from being pulled apart. And so it doesn't take very long to get the glue tacky enough to where it will really stick well. When I go fly out in the field, I'll take glue with me. That way if the foam tears or breaks, put a little glue on it, get it smeared on both sides, let it sit for just even 20 seconds, and it's going to be strong enough that it'll hold and you can just go ahead and start flying again. If you let it sit for more than maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes, then it's going to start actually losing some of its ability to stick. It'll be too cured at that point. You don't want to let it sit too long, or it actually will get to the point to where it won't stick at all and you'll have to put more glue on it again. But that's just a butt joint where we're just doing a flat piece. The other use we use for the Foam-Tac, because it remains flexible, is we use it to do a hinge. So if we had an elevator, aileron, rudder, what we do is we'll have the pieces to where they're cut with a bevel. That allows the pieces to kind of pivot on that surface where the bevel comes up to. To do the glue hinge on that, what I'm going to do is just put about a 1/16 bead on one surface, and then laying it flat on the table makes it easy to put it together. I'm going to press those together. Now there's actually enough tack to where it'll kind of hold a little bit, but I don't want to leave it like that. What I want to do is if I take the two pieces and I kind of push them back and forth on each other, it'll just smear that glue around and actually strengthen that little pointed edge of the bevel. See, you could even smear it back like 1/8 of an inch from the bevel, both the top and bottom. And again, this is already starting to tack up, and so I can let that sit for a few minutes. On a bevel, it'll actually cure out faster because in the case of a butt joint, there's going to be an area in the middle of the foam where the air can't get to help the glue dry out. In the case of a bevel joint for a hinge, the air can get, there's no real area where the air can't get to. So the bevel joints tend to cure out a little bit better than just gluing two pieces together. So I could still pull this apart if I wanted to at this point, but as you can see, the glue is flexible. And so I can bend those and it becomes a hinge. And so I'll let that cure for even a couple minutes. on a control surface, if you're flying, will be enough cure time for it to allow you to keep flying. If I'm building, I might let that sit for maybe 5 minutes, just so I don't have to worry about bumping it and pulling it apart or messing it up. But it's already holding. I can pull pretty hard on that surface. Now, occasionally what will happen is you'll get too much glue on there. If you get too much glue, that hinge will become very stiff, and it'll be hard for the servo to move the control surface. Sometimes what will happen is the airframe will twist because that control surface is so hard to move. The easiest way to fix that is either just take a knife and cut the hinge apart again carefully, right on the edge, and then glue it again. Or if the glue's not too thick, you could actually go in and put more glue on top. The solvents that are in the glue will dissolve what glue is on there and allow you to pull the joint apart cleanly. Let it cure out completely, then use a little bit more glue and less, a less amount, so it's not so stiff. This right here, I can actually just move it around a little bit and that'll flop back and forth. And so that's about right. So if I do a 1/16 on one edge only, spread that across both sides, that makes a really good hinge joint. For a butt joint like this, where I'm just gluing two parts together with more surface area and I want a stronger bond, I'll probably put maybe 1/8 of an inch bead of glue along the one side and then smear it on both sides. And that's for this 9mm or 3/8 thick foam. If you're using Depron and it's 3mm, of course you'd use less foam or less glue for that joint. So I hope that helps explain some of the uses for the Foam-Tac glue. It's a really good product, and we've kind of switched over to that. It lasts a really long time. It doesn't tend to dry out like some of the other glues would. It doesn't turn yellow when exposed to sunlight like some glues do. So happy building.